combined opposition has yet again showed their non-support to several critical developmental projects which stands to benefit all Guyanese, as several cuts have been made to the 2014 national budget. The health sector suffered a major blow as the combined opposition used their one-seat majority and voted against funds which were allocated for the specialty hospital. In so doing, the opposition in reality voted against funding for the provision of other regional and clinical services. This will affect the Ministry of Health, buildings, doctors' quarters, land and water transport, furniture and other medical equipment. A sum of $910 million was budgeted for the specialty hospital project proposed under the Health Ministry.
Let me just signal to you, as she has, that as regards the specialty hospital, we are not desirous specifically of supporting that, and any consensus would have to be built around that understanding.
The sum stated for capital expenditures, this would be health, regional and clinical services, capital expenditures, be approved. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against?
No. The specialty hospital project falls under the ministry's capital expenditure, under which a number of other projects are stated, and as such, those developmental projects suffered the same fate. The specialty hospital would have catered for specialized healthcare services which can only be sought overseas. No specialty hospital means a burden will be on the Treasury to continue to fund overseas treatment for patients who required specialized treatment. This also means that Guyanese will be denied access to low-cost specialized health care, and specially trained medical persons will be denied a chance to work in Guyana. In 2013, the combined opposition voted against $1.25 billion, which was allocated for the specialty hospital.
I can now put the question, and that is that the sums stated for the program 161 for the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, Amerindian Development Capital Expenditure should go forward as part of these estimates. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against?
No. Amerindian Development Fund caters for a number of programs and projects which are called from the leaders and the communities, blessed and sanctioned by the communities at the NTC. For me, this is a slap in the indigenous people's face, whereby parts of the House or the opposition, the combined opposition, speaks to the fact that the indigenous people have no right to talk about development. They have no right to make plans. They have no right to seek government intervention in critical areas where they may have some shortfall. It also speaks to the fact that a large component of that $1.1 billion is earmarked for the training for youths, to enhance the capacity of youths, to build their competencies, and to provide them and empower them.
This places in peril the provision for the secure livelihood and youth entrepreneurship, which targets the transformation of economies of Amerindian villages and hinterland communities through several forms of economic diversification. The allocation for the ADF also covered a $796 million provision for the continuation of the Youth Entrepreneurship and Apprenticeship Program and its expansion to regions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10. This YEEP program was introduced in 2013 and launched in regions 1, 7, 8, and 9. Amerindian development was affected in 2013 when the National Assembly cut the funding to the low-carbon development strategy, affecting the solar electrification program for small cottage industries in the hinterland and the construction and upgrading of access roads through many Amerindian villages in regions 7 and 8, among others. Meanwhile, as the Public Works Ministry's estimates were being considered, the combined opposition parties voted against the $6.5 billion, which has been allocated for the expansion of the Chedijagan International Airport. AFC member Moses Nagamutu stated that while the party supports hinterland airstrips, they did not support the CJIA modernization project. Minister of Public Works Robeson Ben, however, pointed out that in 2012 the project was approved. The two opposition parties, APNU and AFC, then joined forces and voted against the $6.5 billion allocated to the project, with a vote of 33 against 32.
I want to say, before I ask the question, that the Alliance for Change fully supports allocation for hinterland and coastal airstrips. And on last last year when this vote came up, we took a certain decision in the vote because of the way the matter was. It is, of course, I can't deal with the way the estimate is structured. It's the government's estimate that these things are bundled with the CJIA airport modernization. And though we had indicated that our support for the extension of the runway at the CJIA airport, we have expressed our disapproval of a new airport.
Members, I'd like to put a question, and that is that we approve the sums for the capital expenditure for program 313, Transport, Ministry of Public Works. Those in favor say aye. Those against?
Cuts to this fund will mean Guyana will gain less revenues and taxes. Investors wanting to do business in Guyana will be affected. High-level conferences now being held in Georgetown will lessen, and larger aircraft will be hindered from landing at the CJIA. Additionally, the cost of travel and linking with Guyanese in the diaspora in the north and south will remain high, and Guyana, becoming a travel hub from South America, will no longer be. The vote against the project also affected the funding for other aviation services, since they all fell under the same category. The sum of $185 million for hinterland coastal airstrips and $50 million for civil aviation equipment were also listed in the transport sector of the estimates.
As a tourism operative here in Guyana, and as a pilot and as an airline owner, I'm devastated. Because this is to do with people's lives. This is to do with safety. This is to do with the new dispensation of the development of our airport. And the development of this airport is so vital and crucial to the development of tourism and business development in Guyana. So to hear this, my head is still spinning on it. I really cannot fathom why they would interfere with our aviation budget. That got to do with tourism development, the creation of new jobs to young people. I'm just blown away.
It points indeed that the talk we hear of their interest in developing the hinterland and the airstrips related thereto it's hypocritical, given the fact that they came back and voted against these very airstrips last night. And furthermore, it speaks to them putting at risk the work, the lives, and the livelihoods of Guyanese in the hinterland communities, not only those who reside in those communities, but also those who travel out there to give services or to work also from the coast, but also to putting at risk the operatives who run the services into the area.
The Tourism and Hospitality Association of Guyana, TAG, the GTA and the ministry made it very clear that the success of our tourism product depends heavily on government investment in key infrastructure, some of which are hinterland airstrips. That has been identified under the competitiveness program as one of the most critical investment that is required for the tourism sector, for the expansion and development of the tourism sector. So for TAG and the tourism sector, having the head of hinterland chopped off by the opposition is a major setback for our tourism development and tourism sector. The other major issue here is in relation to the Chedijagan International Airport, as you rightfully said. We have made commitment to many international carriers that we're going to ensure the runway is extended to facilitate their interest in coming to Guyana, and to ensure that we have the necessary facilities that would enable us to capture a major market in becoming a hub and become a major transfer point for passengers moving across into South America and further beyond. Being that automatic bridge as a result of our geographic positioning.
In 2013, the opposition cut about $31 billion from the national budget, effectively stymieing vital and transformative projects. Among the agency and projects affected were the Guyana Power and Light, Public Works and Tire Transport Programs, CJIA expansion, rehabilitation for several hinterland airstrips, and maintenance of 43 others, equipment for Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, Specialty Hospital, Government Information Agency, and the National Communications Network, the LCDS, under which fell the Amaila Falls Hydropower Project, Amerindian Development Fund, Amerindian Land Titling and Demarcation, Cunha Canal Rehabilitation, Biodiversity Center, Micro-Enterprise Fund, and Institutional Strengthening. The government of Guyana continues to try to bring in line its Amerindian community with the rest of the nation. Annual allocations are constant for various programs through the national budget. The 2014 national budget allocated $1.5 billion to the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs. However, it was a sad day for the Amerindian community when the National Assembly only approved $454 million of the allocation. Minister of Amerindian Affairs Pauline Sokai said the cut is a major setback for the development of indigenous communities and peoples.
Amerindian Development Fund caters for a number of programs and projects which are called from the leaders and the communities, blessed and sanctioned by the communities at the NTC. For me, this is a slap in the indigenous people's face, whereby parts of the House or the opposition, the combined opposition, speaks to the fact that the indigenous people have no right to talk about development. They have no right to make plans. They have no right to seek government intervention in critical areas where they may have some shortfall. It also speaks to the fact that a large component of that $1.1 billion is earmarked for the training for youths, to enhance the capacity of youths, to build their competencies, and to provide them and empower them.
She highlighted the negative effects of the continued development of communities.
Many of the projects funded under this fund and this allocation, they were to be active participants, making serious contribution towards village development. In fact, the tourism projects embodies quite a lot of young people in terms of building the product in the local community. The fact that we will also not be able to advance the languages that are at risk, particularly on the coast, the Waro and the Arawak languages, which everyone knows is almost extinct.
$1.1 billion, which was allocated for the Amerindian Development Fund, projects and programs which specifically target and encourages self-sufficiency and economic and social development into hinterland, was cut. Affected were the Secure Livelihood and Youth Entrepreneurship Project, the construction of village offices and multipurpose buildings, purchase of sport gear, musical instruments, drip irrigation systems, tractors and implements, and support for other projects and programs including ecotourism. $796 million had been allocated towards the continuation of the Youth Entrepreneurship and Apprenticeship Program and its expansion to regions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10. Additionally affected was the YEAP program, which addresses youth development and empowerment, which speaks to the focus of ensuring secure indigenous livelihood by developing the capacity and capability of the youth. The claim by the opposition was that the measures for the Amerindian people were being used instead by government to manipulate Amerindians. Opposition members of parliament have called for more development within the Amerindian communities. APNU's Sidney Allicock had called for a technical institute in the Rupununi, as well as made complaints about a road in the area, while AFC MP Eula Marcellus called for more schools to be built.
Schools across the region continue to experience difficult challenges when it comes to education delivery, as inadequate learning materials, textbooks, janitorial supplies in nursery, primary, and secondary schools, inadequate number of trained teachers.
APNU's Renita Williams also called for provision for residents in Region 1.
The residents in Region 1, as it relates to uses of bridges in Santa Rosa Village, Maruk and San Jose revetment, the residents find difficulties carrying in trades of other activities when they have to use these bridges.
However, when the time came to vote for the development of the hinterland communities through the relevant allocation, there was a resounding no.
Honourable members, I evince that I can now put the question, and that is that the sums stated for the program 161 for the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, Amerindian Development Capital Expenditure should go forward as part of these estimates. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against?
No. Ms. Marcelo? No. Mrs. Garrido? No. Mr. Ramjatan? No. Mr. Alicock? No. Brigadier Retired Granger?
No.
This has led to feelings of hurt, betrayal, and confusion by the nation's first peoples and their champions. Following the cut, Minister Sukai said that the investment by the PPPC government also reflects its commitment to youth from hinterland communities.
For example, the youth program, $796 million going as stipends to young people. When you think of what that can generate in a community and help to inject needed finance at the local level, it is disastrous for Amerindians. And I dare say that this is the plan of the combined opposition. In 2011, the AFC proposed that the government close the Amerindian Affairs Ministry. Here we see the combined opposition joining forces to actually do that, because the $1.1 billion, almost the total sum of the capital budget. What the Amerindian Affairs Ministry is left with is only the current budget, which speaks to staff, maintenance of the three facility and institution we have here. That's the head office, the student dormitory, and the residence.
The minister questioned the sincerity of the opposition, which had previously called for accountability and better facilities for the village councils.
Here it is where we are building a facility, or we're supporting the construction of a facility like a head office for the village council. That has gone out the window. Multi-purpose centers, where training, where cultural events, where young people can come together and meet, are now out the window. So the wisdom of the cut makes no sense to us. And indeed, it will have very negative impact with respect to the support that government offers to the developing local economies in the hinterland.
Some of the Tushaus and other community leaders voiced their disappointment in the actions taken by the political opposition.
I felt so disappointed when I saw what's going on concerning the Amerindian Development Funds, and you know, I felt real embarrassed and disappointed of my region, because we give the opposition a strong support, and now, you know, it's like taking bread out of our mouth, you know, like from out of the Amerindian people's mouth, especially the youths who benefiting from the little stipend and so on.
This is what happens today. Show us their true colors. This is what they're made of. So last week, pretending that everything would be okay and sending the wrong message, today we got the real message, what it's all about. So really, they don't care what happens to the lives and the welfare and the well-being of our Amerindian peoples, because what happened here now is it is going to hinder development in all of our villages throughout this country. I would like to say we are 10% of the population of Guyana. And this budget that reflects directly to us is just 1% of the national budget. Why is it the combined opposition just, I would say, recklessly just cut it, deny us our right? Therefore, they have no respect for the Amerindian peoples. I would like to say directly to the Amerindian parliamentarians, what are they thinking? How could they go back to their village and relate to the people? What will they tell the people when they return to the village? That I sat there and I say cut.
My name is Lovia Mendoza, CSU from Port Kaitun, Matakai Sub-Region. As I sit in the parliament this afternoon and I heard what the opposition said, I was very disappointed, because what they have done there, right? What they have done, they have let the youths of the Amerindian people down.
Amerindian youths across Guyana in a whole, they would be hurt by it, and I don't think that the opposition actually put a thought through upon what they actually did, and I think they were wrong.
And I don't think that they actually care about the Amerindians of Guyana for them to actually cut the budget and cut the whole budget in that manner. And I am just disappointed at the moment.
For Minister Sukai, the proposed move to discuss the allocations cut via a subcommittee meeting is demeaning to Indigenous people.
I believe that the whole issue of cutting and taking it or reviving it and making use of a plenary is just an insult to the Indigenous people. The Indigenous people have come from their villages, from all corners of the hinterland, to speak with His Excellency and the Cabinet, to relay to them what are our priorities. And here it is, the opposition just didn't care.